Good morning, everyone. Let's stand and sing our opening song. All right, let's go.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I'm getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
Ooh. Good morning, everyone. How are y'all doing? All right, that's right here. All right. Well, it's wonderful to see you all here today. Genesis is a community dedicated to love, inspiring harmony, and creating connections to empower spiritual growth, and we love that you are here to share in that with us today. My name is Dave. I'm a practitioner here at Genesis Center for Spiritual Living, and I will be your host as well today. Our online host is Cal. Thank you, Cal, for that. And if you're watching online, go ahead and give us some comments. And if you're watching online for the first time, let us know how you found Genesis. So now I invite us all to get together and read our mission and our vision statements. Mission: we are building a vibrant community, cultivating a garden of spiritual growth, honoring vulnerability, creating a safe space of comfort and peace where all are welcome and accepted. And our vision: Genesis is a bright beacon with an unshakable heart of love, accepting all. A home for the soul where we each creatively express our spiritual brilliance. Yes, we are. All right, and we will move on to our announcements. And I just wanted to really just emphasize this first slide here for a second. Transforming lives and inspiring people to make a positive difference in this world. This is kind of Genesis's tagline. This is what we are all about here. And so I love that we have that as our first slide here today. Spiritual social action. So if you noticed, we have like our service ideas on the little board behind us there. And so what we're doing is we're creating you can participate in serving our planet, marginalized community, people experience homeless, poverty, etc. Anything that we want to do to transform lives and make a positive difference in this world. These are the actions that we are taking here at Genesis, and you all can be a part of that. And so I invite you, any ideas you have, as Spirit shares with you something that's on your heart, just post it on there, and we'll all get to it, and more about that later. Healers and Hunters men's group, my men's group, which I love to announce, and I love to be able to get up there and announce it. So we're doing the Spiritual Laws of Success that meets every third Monday from 7 to 8:30 p.m. So if you want to get together and be a part of the men's group and share and connect with the other men of Genesis, just contact me afterwards, and I'll get you the information about how to be a part of that. It's a great time. Next, we have our Spiritual and Practices, which begins February 22nd. Students will embark on a profound journey of self-discovery, spiritual growth, and intentional manifestation by understanding the principles, practices, and methods employed in science of mind teaching. Align your desires with spiritual wisdom by identifying a personal intention and connecting it to the relevant principle and practices. This will take place on Zoom during the lunch hour on Thursdays with spiritual practitioner ChristineEss Young, right over there. Does double duty for us. Look at her. Tuition is $200, so register, get more information online or at the welcome table to my left, your right. Next, we have our mindful eating group. Christy Renoff is hosting a mindful eating group on Monday nights via Zoom from 8:30 to 9. The goals are to support each other on staying on our eating path, sharing successes, challenging and eating hacks, and sharing favorite recipes. If you would like to be a part of this group, please connect with Christy here at service or email her. Christy, raise your hand. There she is, right over there. So just contact Christy. Next, if you want to connect with community and deepen spiritual growth and create lasting friendships, join a care circle. I am a host of a care circle, and it is a great way to deepen your connection within the community in small group type situations. Sometimes in the bigger group, we all get together and we hang out and we talk to each other, but I really love the care circles because it creates a real, more intimate connection. So if you want to be a part of that, and if you're not in the care circle, you can connect with Karen Williams, or anyone here if you really want to be a part of that, then we'll get you in contact with her. Today's book study is not happening today because we're having a practitioner meeting. And thank you for all your pledges. Your contribution plays a vital role in ensuring the success and vibrancy of Genesis for this coming year. And let's give us a round of applause to everyone else for all their pledges and everything that we all gave together. Thank you all so much. We really do appreciate that. So is anyone here visiting Genesis for the first time and so bold they want to raise their hands and announce themselves? Yes. What's your name? Now, Linnell. Sam? Guy. Well, great. It's great to have you here today. Thank you for joining us here at Genesis today. We enjoy our experience here. And so now you get the fun part. Not only do you get to be called out as first time, but we get to stand up and we get to meet and greet each other. So we all get up and we'll just meet and greet each other. If you want, you can give each other hugs. If you don't like that, just put your hand out, and we know that that is meaning that you can shake your hand. Well, I love that part of our service every time, getting together and getting up and meet and hug each other and loving on each other. That's what we're all about here. So So at this time, I would like to honor the volunteers that are in service today. Our morning greeter is Christy. We have Mike and Eric on our projector. Gideon, you're doing the offerings? Yes, okay, good. I got it right. That's what I like. Perfect. We have Soren on sound, who always makes us sound often. Cal, our online host today. And we have our musical guest, ChristineEss Young. We're so very blessed always to have ChristineEss Young here. And our service practitioner today is Randy. So a little bit more about Randy. Randy's been with Genesis ever since the beginning. So you know if you're getting a prayer from Randy, you definitely are getting the good stuff because he's very practiced. I gotta say. So if you have something that you want on your heart that you want prayer about, or something you just want to celebrate, visit Randy after the service, and he'll pray you up. Perfect. All right. So now I invite us all to sit in our seats and just get centered as ChristineEss leads us into our centering song, Breathe and Turn Within.
I breathe and turn within. I breathe and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's presence. I breathe and turn within. I breathe and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's love. I breathe and turn within. I breathe and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's presence. I breathe and turn within. I breathe and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's love. I pray and turn within. I pray and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's presence. I pray and turn within. I pray and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's love. I sing and turn within. I sing and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's presence. I sing and turn within. I sing and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's love. I open up my heart and feel God's love. I open up my heart and feel God's love.
All right. My name is Randy Singer. I am a practitioner here, and apparently I've been here for a while. I saw on Facebook they had like 10 years ago, and it was something here at Genesis. I said, oh, it's been longer than that. So I will do a reading, and then we'll go into prayer, and that'll be good. So today I'm reading from Ernest Holmes's Can We Talk to God? And it starts on page 90. You can follow along. I'm sure you all have it. How much life, abundance, goodness, truth, and beauty can we mentally entertain? This is the measure of our possible experience. This is the mold of acceptance. The infinite feels fills all molds and flows forever into new and greater ones. It is the unborn possibility of limitless experience. We give birth to it. We should be careful not to divide our mental house against itself. Having announced the law of liberty, we must not deny it in our experience. Though the whole world has suffered a sense of limitation, there is no limitation to the universe. When we all shall know the truth, then the ways, methods, and means will be found for the freedom of all people. The world is slow in waking up to reality, but we need not wait. Though the whole world were unhappy, peace would still be. It is our business to demonstrate that harmony in real and discord unreal, that good is real no matter how much evil may be experiencing. No matter how much evil people may be experiencing, it is on this basis alone that we can use the greatest law of life. Good never compromises with its opposite. The one practicing must be able to look a fact in the face and say, that is not there. This is not to be irrational to the one who had made a careful study of the science of mind and spirit. Truth knows no opposites. When we take away the belief in evil, it flees with the dissolution of this belief. We must be continually reminding ourselves of the power of the word and our ability to consciously use it. We must know that truth produces freedom because truth is freedom. We are not God, but we are some part of the power of God. It is in this quiet expectancy and in calm confidence that our work should be done. The results rest in the eternal law of God. All right, so let's just take this moment to know that that law of God is always happening. It always has been. And it's happening whether we realize it or not. And so we have that opportunity to remind ourselves to see the good in each moment, in each person, in each experience, and to know that our thoughts are things, and we have the power over our own experience, and we get to bring that joy, the positivity, and that love to our experience, and we get to share it just by being. And I know it is good. I know it's already happening. It's rolled out in a yellow brick road of good. And so we just move forward and we say, thank you, God, and so it is. And now, more beautiful music by ChristineEss Young.
This morning's kind of special because I'm sharing original music with you guys, both of the songs I'm doing. And this one has been playing around in my mind for years, and it finally came out this week, so I'm pretty excited to finally be sharing it. So some of it I've borrowed, I'm sure you'll recognize. Be thou my vision, creator of all. Fill me with purpose and kindness for all. Guide each and every day my heart by thy light. Let me rest fully in thy power and might. Be thou my vision, O steadfast and true. Guide me through trials, let thy light shine through. My gaze be upon thee, my faith be my rock, till I feel free from every corner of doubt. trusting and knowing my perfection divine.
It's interesting. I think years from now we'll all be able to say we were at the unveiling of that song. Yeah, thank you, ChristineEss, the James Brown of Genesis.
We feel good.
We do feel good. So welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming here. This year, we are talking about a grand awakening, and a grand awakening is bigger than a normal awakening. It's sort of more universal. It's got more divine stuff to it. And today we're talking about pain pushes until vision pulls. So change is challenging, but I can do hard things. Actually, our affirmation today is going to be, my potential is bigger than my problem. Let's say that together for a minute. My potential is bigger than my problem. My potential is bigger than my problem. And I'm going to go over what we've been talking about, so February is Black History Month, and we've been going over the way different people have exemplified moving out of the comfort zone and into action, into making the world, making a positive difference in the world. We started off with Harriet Tubman, and Harriet Tubman used the power of volition, of deciding. When she decided one day, I'm no longer going to be an enslaved person. I'm now going to be free. And not only did she free herself, she ended up freeing her entire family and dozens of other people. During the Civil War, she freed close to 1,000 people. So she was known as the Moses of her people. And this was because she decided one day that being an enslaved person was not her highest and best vision, that she could be free and she could free all these other people. And she had the strength, the tenaciousness to keep on going. In her first trip, she brought her 2 brothers with her, and they were like, this is too scary, I'm going back home. She's like, I'm going nowhere except freedom. Last week we talked about Tina Turner. And Tina Turner always wanted to be a great singer. She really exhibited the power of life. And then she found out about the power of faith, because her singing, she was a very successful singer. Ike and Tina Turner were like a top singing group. But it turns out her interactions with Ike were questionable and emotionally abusive, and she ended up breaking out on her own. And she was about 500 times as successful on her own as Tina Turner, the queen of rock and roll, as she'd been with Ike. And so even though she was very successful and kept getting hit records, she knew that she had a bigger faith, a bigger vision. And it was faith that brought her there. The faith, she was a Buddhist. She spent most of her life as a Buddhist. She learned Buddhism when she was stuck as half of Ike and Tina Turner. And she did a chant, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, that gave her the faith. It told her that she is the divine within. The divine lotus of her divine self was more than this, and she did not need to be stuck. She did the hard thing of moving onto her own and becoming the queen of rock and roll. Today we're going to talk about Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Boseman is an actor who died a few years ago, but he did amazing things. We're going to talk about 4 of the roles that he played in movies. His first breakout role was as Jackie Robinson in the movie 42. And then we'll talk a little bit about him as James Brown. He did feel good. Then Thurgood Marshall. He played Thurgood Marshall in an amazing but not often enough watched movie before he ended up as the Black Panther, T'Challa the Black Panther, in a movie that's made billions. Actually, the movies he was in made way over $1 billion. And we'll talk about his challenges. So he was born in Anderson, South Carolina in 1976. And as a little kid, what he remembers is he loved reading Black Panther comic books. I loved reading. Did anybody else read Black Panther comic books? No? Okay. It's me and Chadwick. The Black Panther was the first black superhero. And he was great. He was king of his own kingdom of Wakanda, an isolated kingdom in Africa. And his first job was to protect and defend his kingdom and protect and defend the world. So that's what he read about in the comic book. And I think he dreamed more than I did of growing up and being the Black Panther, finding out that there's this kingdom and he's the king. Which actually, it's a little like our divine selves. When we wake up to our divine selves, we find, the kingdom of heaven is within. And so this is a power that he exhibited as that. But Chadwick Boseman ended up going to college where he studied acting and directing. No, before that, he was on his high school basketball team. And one of his high school basketball friends was killed in a senseless shooting. And this broke everybody's spirit. They were like, oh no, this is just awful. How can we live in a world like this? And Chadwick was moved to write a play. And what he did with that play, when people saw the play, it transformed their vision of what happened. It transformed their vision of the power. It really transformed their lives. And so instead of feeling like victims and we can't do anything, they felt like his life meant something and we can make it mean something. We can step into this world and make this world a better place. We don't have to be victimized by this senseless shooting. We can uplift ourselves and uplift the community. And his life did have meaning. And he was transformed by the reaction that he had from that play, by how it just changed the whole attitude of the town just by seeing a play. And he thought, this is what I'm going to do. That's how he ended up in college as an actor and director. And he did so well, he applied to go to Oxford to learn the English style of acting. And it turned out he was accepted, but he couldn't afford to do it. He couldn't afford to go. But one of his professors knew Denzel Washington, and Denzel Washington said, this kid is good, and he paid his way. So it's sort of nice that Denzel paid for Chadwick to spend years in Oxford studying acting. When Chadwick came back, he had a bunch of roles, but his breakout part was in the movie 42, the story of Jackie Robinson. And I want to tell you, for all the movies I'm going to talk about are at the King County Public Library. If you go and you search for Chadwick Boseman, you'll come up with 10 movies. So it's too many to watch them all. But if any of these sort of grip you, there they are. They're streaming too, but they're free if you have the old DVD technology. Jackie Robinson was He was born in 1919, raised by a single mother. He was born in Georgia. His mother moved to Pasadena, California, and he spent all his time playing sports. He loved sports. This was his favorite thing. And he went to UCLA, and he was the first person to ever letter in 4 sports. He was on the team for baseball, basketball, football, and track. So he was that good a sports star in college. Because of his age, as soon as he graduated, he went into World War II, and he was an officer, college educated. He was a lieutenant. And he did really well. You know, he led a bunch of black troops, and he managed to inspire them and get them to do what they needed to do while putting up with his wrong, while sort of managing the racism that was in the Army in the 1940s, in the U.S. Army. So when he came out of the Army, Branch Rickey, the general manager of the Brooklyn Dodgers, was like, we have to integrate baseball. It's crazy that baseball is a white-only sport. And he picked Jackie Robinson as being the guy who was not only skilled enough on the field, but also had the resilience, had the connections, had the heart to put up with all the Jim Crow crap that you had to put up with in those days. So in 1947, Jackie Robinson was Rookie of the Year. He was the best new player in baseball. In 1949, he won the Most Valuable Player. So he'd only been playing Major League Baseball. In his 3rd year, he was more valuable than any of the other players. He was at the top. And by 1955, he'd led his team, the Brooklyn Dodgers, to the World Series, to the World Series championship. So they were champions of the world, thanks to Jackie Robinson. He retired in 1955, 1957. So it's interesting. He retired before I was born. But I know, he made a huge difference. What Jackie Robinson did on the field was in the front page of a lot of newspapers the next day. He really elevated the African American community. They felt like, that they could. This was their potential. If you let them do what they needed to do, this is what they could do. And this is true for all of us. We grow up, we're eagles growing up in a bunch of chickens in a chicken farm, and we think we're funny-looking chickens, but no, we're perfect eagles. This was Jackie Robinson. He showed everybody that they could be eagles if they let themselves move into their fortune. And so he exhibited, like we can all exhibit our divine self. He won the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and I think he got a medal from Congress too. Congressional Gold Medal and the Presidential Medal of Freedom. When he retired, they retired they retire the number of baseball players for, if you're like a super great star on your team, on one of all the teams, they'll retire your number. Jackie Robinson's number was 42, and they retired it when he retired on all the teams. So there would never be another 42 in baseball. And for Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy fan, this is the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything. So it's Jackie Robinson. Who knew? They missed that in the book. So Chadwick Boseman really, one of the reasons I was talking about getting the movie is Jackie Robinson has an inspiring story, and Chadwick Boseman really embodied it. He used his imagination to put himself in the shoes of somebody in that situation, 100 years ago or 80 years ago, with people treating him like that, and yet having that level of skill and resilience to be able to if not brush it off, to overcome it and achieve his potential. His potential is bigger than his problem. He had a problem, and his potential was bigger. James Brown was born in 1933 in Barnwell, South Carolina. and he was a singer, songwriter, and dancer. His stage performances were amazing. His voice was unique, and his songs are immortal. You know, "I Feel Good" is the one that we all know. But he is very popular. They played a soundtrack of all his music during the civil rights marches, and it would inspire people. "Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud." So this is, you know, instead of feeling like you're less than or diminished, you can step into, you know, we are embodied spirits. It's not, you know, this is one of the things, you know, my Buddhist friends talk about. Oh yeah, you know, human bodies, you know, we're really something way more. I'm like, no, we are embodied spirits. Our bodies, you know, our bodies are different than spirit, but they are alive with spirit. They are alive with our potential. They're alive with power. And so this is something, and music does this. This is one of the reasons, one of the things I've always been excited about Genesis with is the power, the emphasis we put into the music, because the music really brings the spirituality into our very cells. It surrounds it with us. It can bypass the logical brain and just connect us straight to spirit with each other in a very embodied way. So, you know, James Brown did not have the easiest life. He had drug addiction problems that, you know, assail so many of our cultural stars. He had relationship problems, but he performed up until his death. You know, he lived to 73, and he was still doing amazing dance moves, singing beautifully, and inspiring civil rights. So, and this was another move. I mean, who could be more different than Jackie Robinson and James Brown? And yet Chadwick Boseman could embody that. He used his power of just deciding and embedding himself into the character, and then his imagination moving in with it. So it's interesting the way the movies work. Jackie Robinson made $80 million at the box office. James Brown made $33 million. My favorite, Marshall by Thurgood Marshall, $10 million. But it's Thurgood Marshall. It's for all the legal nerds. He was born in 1908 in Baltimore. And it's funny, watching the movie just makes me feel like, you know, Thurgood Marshall used his mind and his charisma to turn the law that had been used to oppress black people into something that uplifted, or at least prevented oppression. No, uplifted. I'm going to give it uplifted. And we can do this too. You know, like I say, my Buddhist friends are not so fond of the world necessarily, and yet we can take this world and we can use this world we can uplift people, we can transform lives, we can make a positive difference. So this is our world. 1908, he was born. He went to Howard University School of Law. When he started a private practice out of Howard University, and he immediately went into civil rights law. But within 2 years, he was the head of the NAACP's Civil Rights Division. And I think he took more cases to the Supreme Court. He certainly won more cases at the Supreme Court than any other lawyer. So that's his historic record. He's most famous for Brown versus Board of Education, which is the case where they found that separate but equal facilities are inherently unequal. And so the integration was the only solution the Supreme Court could come up with at the time. But this transformed, you know, it meant that African Americans got to have a decent education just like everybody else. He had 2 other cases that I hadn't known about until a few days ago that I thought were interesting. In 1944, he did a case. It turns out the Texas Democratic Party only allowed whites to vote. because it wasn't part of government, they weren't required to be integrated, and so they could only allow whites to vote. And he brought this to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, no, that makes no sense. How can you have the freedom of election if you can't choose the candidates? It makes no sense. And so the reason why anybody can go vote in the primaries is because of Thurgood Marshall and his arguments before the Supreme Court. The second one is restrictive housing covenants in 1948. So I don't think I've owned a house that was old enough that it could have had a restrictive housing covenant, but apparently they're still finding them in King County in the housing records, that there are houses that you're not allowed to sell to somebody who isn't white. And what the Supreme Court did was they decided, this is ridiculous. They didn't have the power to make you take those out of the covenants, which is why they're still here. But they did remove the power to use the courts to enforce it. So you can ignore it. And this is actually something that happened. I don't know if the neighborhood I grew up in had a restricted covenant, but I knew there was an African American family that moved in when I was 12 years old. And a bunch of people moved out right away, to which those of us who stayed thought, good. We didn't know what kind of neighbors we had, and now we'll have new neighbors. And the kids were wonderful. The parents were nice. I was a kid. I didn't really get to know the parents as well as I got to know the kids. But the kids were delightful. And actually, they had one who was 10 years old who really taught me how to play basketball much better than I ever could before. So he was my Jackie Robinson. He would dribble so far away from the basket that no defenders would even bother to defend him. And then he'd get a clear shot from like halfway across the road, and he'd get it in the basket more often than not, because no one was defending him. They didn't believe that he could shoot from that far away. My superpower then was I was taller. I was this tall when I was like 11 years old, and so I could outjump all the other 11-year-olds and then pass the ball to the guy who could actually get it in the basket. So it was nice to have the restrictive covenants gone. And then Brown versus Board of Education. John Kennedy in '61 put him as a federal judge on the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, and then in 1967, Lyndon Johnson appointed him to the Supreme Court, nominated him for the Supreme Court, where he was until 1991. He died in 1993 and afterwards won the Presidential Medal of Freedom. So we've got a bunch of Presidential Medal of Freedom winners. But the way Chadwick Boseman plays him, in the movies called Marshall, is it really makes you see the gears turning in his mind, how they thought about it, how they strategized, and how they had to put up with a bunch of Jim Crow crap while they were coming and uplifting everybody, turning the law to be used for good instead of for ill. So Chadwick was amazing in being able to do that. Right as he was being cast for Thurgood Marshall, Chadwick got some bad news. Well, yeah. He had stage 3 metastatic cancer. And so while he was doing Thurgood Marshall, he was undergoing chemotherapy and operations and keeping it secret from everybody, except, I think his close family members knew, and his doctors, of course, knew, his medical personnel, but everybody was sworn to secrecy. And he said, my mom said, don't make a big deal out of these things. But I think also people would have treated him differently if they'd seen him as a dead man walking. And he was like, no, I am more than my problems. You know, my potential is bigger than my problem, and I don't want you to focus on my problem. I want you to see what we can see, what we are doing here. You know, that we want Thurgood Marshall to be as popular as Jackie Robinson. Thurgood was working from the inside. He didn't get to be out on the field. And then he got cast as the Black Panther, his childhood hero. And this is the movie, as I said, the one movie, the Black Panther, made $1.33 billion. So that out-earned all his other movies. It's the most money ever made by a movie with an African-American star. It's also, I mean, I think it's in the top 5 of like most popular movies ever. So everything about the Black Panther and Wakanda is fictitious, but they place this fictitious kingdom in a world that's like ours. The Black Panther's official name is T'Challa, and I'm probably just going to call him the Black Panther because T'Challa doesn't really read as a name to me. But Black Panther is somebody who I've known since childhood. He's the king of Wakanda, but as he becomes king, there's this ancient tradition that you have to fight for the privilege to be king, and he fights and he outdoes his opponent through resilience and grit. He's got the sheer grit to do it. There is Wakanda has a tradition and culture. So Wakanda is an African nation that has never been colonized. And how did they do that? Well, through secrecy. It's hidden in a mountain valley in the jungle. And so nobody ever found their way there. And they also, turns out that not being colonized gave them advanced technology. They have a metal called vibranium, which can do, it's not as good as unobtainium in Avatar, but it's actually similar. Because like in Avatar, they have floating cars and infinite supply of energy. So maybe this is the original unobtainium. But this is the power. I mean, what this represents for us, this is our divine power. This is, we know that within us, we have a power which is eternal, which is endless, which is effortless, which is all connecting and all loving within us. And what can't you do with that kind of power? And in the world of the Black Panther, Wakanda is a kingdom that has that, and it's trying to decide what to do with it. And the world wants it because they want to use it for greedy purposes, for venal purposes, not to make the world a better place. There's a struggle between the isolationism. Wakanda has managed to be as good as it is through being isolated, through paying attention to itself. And this is something we all have to do with our divine selves, is we can't be 100% outside focused. We need to pay attention to us. We need to have spiritual practices. We need to pray, meditate, chant, whatever our spiritual practice is, so that we can be within ourselves and we can know who we are. But as they argue in the movie, we want to not only transform our life, we want to make a positive difference in the world. And so what is the positive difference we can make in the world? We need to use discernment to find that positive difference. The bad guy in the Black Panther movie has a comically bad name. He's Eric Killmonger. Kill and monger. And he has a vendetta, and he wants to use the vibranium and the power of Wakanda to get revenge, to punish his enemies, because he's greedy and wants to be on top of the world. But really for him, it's all about hatred. And this is the struggle. Bad things happen in the world. People do awful things. Bad things happen to us. And do we use our superpowers to get revenge on them? Or Or can we figure out another way to uplift us, to keep us safe, to keep everybody safe, and to make the world a better place? And that's what he does in the movie. And Chadwick Boseman, sorry, this is what he dreamed of since he was a little kid. He wasn't going to let chemotherapy nausea get in his way. He wasn't going to let recovery from surgery get in his way. He was going to do whatever he could to be on the set and show people what it's like to be that guy, to be that person who has the divine power and has the discernment to lead people to do it right. It's also a feminist kingdom. They have female warriors called the Dora Milaje, the all-female special forces. They are scientists. They're really like superheroes. It's just amazing what they do. Okoye, Nakia, and Shuri. Shuri's the scientist. I always look for the scientists. But they're finding justice, they're enforcing the law, they're making things right. So Chadwick's battle came to an end August 28th, 2020. He died at age 43. But he did what he liked with his life. He accomplished as much in his life as anybody could ever accomplish in their lives. So Chadwick is amazing, and we know, like Chadwick, our potential, let's say it together, my potential is bigger than my problem. My potential is bigger than my problem. One more time. My potential is bigger than my problem. And his was. He didn't focus on all the awful things going on in his life. He figured out what's his potential. He's like, Black Panther, yes! 5-year-old Chadwick, his dreams come true. I'm going to talk about President's Day. Tomorrow is President's Day, and there's some really good news that I want to spread. I always like finding good news in the world, and it turns out there's presidential news. So Guatemala, probably most people have heard of Guatemala. I actually had to Google it to find out Guatemala is just a little over half as big as Washington State. Its population is approximately double the population of Washington State. So half as big, twice as many people. Its biggest city, Guatemala City, has over 1 million people. It's the biggest city in Central America. Guatemala is the most populous country in Central America. And a lot of people from Central America and Latin America are going to the border. Lots of people are going to our border trying to come to the US. And what Guatemala wants to do is make themselves into a country where you don't have to leave. They had a civil war for a long time, but in 1996 they defeated the Marxist rebels who were trying to overthrow the government. And the government that defeated them were ruling elites, and at first they were doing well for the people and having democratic elections, but it turned rapidly into a kleptocracy. And that word kleptocracy, a kleptomaniac is somebody who can't help but steal. They're driven to steal compulsively, and the government is driven to steal compulsively. Everybody in the government is lining their pockets. It makes it not as nice a country as it could be. But when people run against there's an entrenched kleptocrats. In fact, what do they call them? Pacto de corruptos, the pact of the corrupt. And all the corrupt people who are in office and in government are trying to keep from being thrown out. They like the money. There's a good benefit to them being in office and getting to collect all this graft. But when there were new elections, what they would do is they'd use the legal system to disqualify any of the candidates who were going to stop the corruption. And then this last election in 2023, they disqualified almost everybody, but there was one guy with 0.7% of the vote. And they're like, that guy will never get anywhere. And he was an academic. He studied peacemaking and is fluent in Hebrew. So this sociology professor specialized in peacemaking, 0.7% of the vote. But what happened is he not only got, so once there was nobody else to vote for, you got corrupt people or you got sociology professor. All the Spanish-speaking liberals in the city were voting for him. And then the indigenous people were voting for him too. There are 25 indigenous Mayan nations in Guatemala who speak 21 different languages, but they all got together and decided to support this one guy. And the Pacto de Corruptos, the corrupt people, wanted to disqualify him, and this is where Joe Biden did something good. Joe Biden said, we will sanction your country if you disqualify this guy from being elected. And then all the businesses, the whole business bloc in Guatemala decided to support him. They're like, we don't want to be sanctioned by the US, that's bad for business. But also, hey, somebody anti-corruption, the government's gonna work a lot better if the officials aren't lining their pockets. And so the government supported him. He ended up winning the election with 61% of the vote. But that was only step one, winning the election, because the government did not want to swear him into power. And they kept arresting and kicking out of the government everybody else in his power in his party, and not wanting to swear him in. There were hundreds of thousands of people in the street of Guatemala City chanting, you know, swear him in, swear, except in Spanish. Probably in Maya too. It took until after midnight, but they did finally swear him in. He has 80% support of the population of Guatemala, loves him. He still has to do a third thing. He has to be able to govern, because the government is still filled with all these corrupt people, and he's trying to figure out how to do it. So he can use our prayers and connections. But we see he's got that power. He's got a problem. The problem is the government's full of corrupt people. And he's got the power. He's a professor of peacemaking. I mean, who better to unify the country and get rid of the corrupt people? And so let's just see. His name is, it's Guatemala, which is easy to remember because it's half as big as Washington and twice as many people, and all those Mayans. Bernardo Arevalo. So Bernardo Arevalo, or just think President of Guatemala. And let's just see him. We see Guatemala. We see Guatemala peaceful. We see Guatemala. We see all those hearts turning and changing and becoming good and being uplifted and knowing we will transform the lives of the people in Guatemala and make a positive difference in their government. So that is it. That's my President's Day story. Guatemala has a great new president, and they have a chance to do the right thing. Now, we're moving to the prayer part of our service. And ChristineEss will play some prayer music, and then we'll move into probably another beautiful original song. But I always say there's one side has our prayer demonstration, and I encourage you to start with a prayer demonstration. If at any time in your life you've ever had a prayer or seen a prayer come true, if you write it down there, that will make all your future prayers more powerful, because it makes it real. It anchors it in reality. It anchors it in physicality. It anchors it in manifestation. And so by writing down something, anything that has been a prayer demonstration of the prayers actually happening, then you can turn around and write your prayer. And know that these prayer cards go to our practitioners. And our practitioners are skilled prayers, and they pray throughout the week on these cards. And so all your prayers get not only the effect of your prayer power, but the prayer power of all the practitioners and the church. And that's it. Thank you, ChristineEss.
In this moment I wake up. In this moment fill my cup. In this moment time is on my side. Here and now I take a vow to be led by love when I'm hurt somehow, opening up to accept something greater. And I realize and I accept life is for me and not against me. When I let go of should and let life move through me, my world is steeped in grace. This is the moment I wake up. I let go and let love fill my cup. This is the moment I let myself be whole. Here and now I take a stand to be led by grace, hand in hand, to trust and know this life is already perfect. And I realize and I accept life is for me and not against me. When I let go of should and let life move through me, my world is steeped in grace. Oh, I realize and I accept love is for me and not against me. When I let go of fear and let love move through me, my world is steeped in grace. In this moment I wake up. I let go and let love fill my cup. This is the moment I know myself as whole. In this moment I'm safe and sound, a beauty everywhere I look around. I can see how life is always on my side.
Woo!
All right, I'm back. Okay. Chadwick Boseman, another 76er, Year of the Dragon. Bring that back. All right. Okay. So each of us has our prayer cards. So we did this. One side of the card is our prayer request, other side is for the demonstration. You can share how your prayer was answered. So if you haven't already, you can start filling this out. Whatever else is on your heart right now, if you're watching online, you can submit your prayer request through the Genesis website, genesiscsl.org. We'll collect these at the end of our service and pass them along to our practitioner team, who pray on them all week. All right. And now, also, in addition to that, we have our offering. Our center is supported by God, and we welcome you to be part of how God's support shows up. If you're on Facebook, please visit our website at genesiscsl.org, or you can text your tithe to 206-800-7595, and let us take a moment to craft our financial gift. Okay, hold your prayer request and offering next to your heart as we say our offering blessing together. You got it? All right. Okay, there we go. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am thankful. All right, and now Gideon will collect the offerings and prayers. While we do that, please stand and sing, God is my source.
God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything
Okay, so we take this time right here and right now to bless all these prayers and all these gifts, knowing that it supports Genesis in money, in kindness, and in spirit. And I know that each of our prayers is prayed upon with love, with spirit, and with blessing, and the power to know that our gifts are come to fruition in perfect time, perfect action and being, and sometime we will turn around and say, hey, that prayer came true. Oh, wow. And so we just take this moment to know that it is good, it is happening, and it is in action. And I say, thank you, God, and so it is.
And so it is.
Okay, so thank you all for joining us today. Please join us after service for food and fellowship. We're wishing everyone a week filled with joy, love, and true connection. Please stand and sing our closing song, I Release.
I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle.